this seminar, symposium, whatever you want to call it, this morning. I'd like to speak to some of the general issues that I think as a community you need to know about immigration. And then I open the floor for questions. I'll take about 10 questions, and I have my card back there, I have some pens, I have some text. Okay, you know, I always everyone wears a text. That's the sign that you work here. Okay, but and you can ask your questions and we'll go from there. Now, what's been in the news recently about immigration? It's about the children on board now. Now, let me just explain to you, somebody's been doing this for a really long time. This problem didn't just emerge. This problem has been going on for about 3 to 4 years. Okay? But this is what the government of the United States does. Whenever something becomes a media issue, they jump up and down and act as though they just found out about it. This has been going on for the longest time. And in part, the influx of children on the border is in part because there are gangs. There's a tremendous gang problem in Central America. The gangs basically run the communities in America and they tap younger children. The parents try to get them out of the community by paying coyotes up to $10,000 to bring those children across the border. Okay, and then they land right on the doorstep of the United States. But as I said, this has been going on, picking up more and more for the past 3-4 years. And the Immigration Service has been trying to make all kinds of analysis of these children. And there's even a special section of court that's allowed to these children. And so I was shocked when I found out the other day for the first time we have a problem on the border. And you know, everybody starts chiming in as though they never knew about this. But that's the way we deal with it. That is the way we, unfortunately, there have been dealing with this issue. Okay, so as I said, part of the issue is that there are gangs, and the people want to get their children out of the influence of these gangs. But it would seem to me that if these countries are having tremendous problems with gang influence, if the United States really wants to help, what it should be doing is dealing with the root of the problem, you know, sending some kind of aid, sending some kind of specialist down there to help them with these gang problems. Instead, it ends up on their doorstep. And because the government has never really figured out a way how to deal with the border, hence the problem. Because the government has never figured out a way to deal with the issue, hence the problem. So, but it's nothing new about it. It's just, I guess, come to the forefront because of the press. And it's going to be interesting to see what happens. All right, so that's the first thing. The second thing, and as you talk about the border a little bit, we're really concerned about, people are generally concerned about the southern border, but it's not just the southern border, it's the northern border also. People slip across the northern border, people land writing checks. There's so many things that we don't really talk about. But when I worked for the government, I saw all the ways people came into the United States, and you know, landing cornfields out in the middle of Nebraska, out in the middle of Kansas. You name it, okay? But what is striking about all these movements, you hear that people say all the time that there are 11 million illegal aliens in the United States, sometimes 12 million, and these people are undocumented and they live in the shadows. So my first question to you is, if they live in the shadows and they're undocumented, how do you know how to do? But there are a lot, okay? So I mean, I listen, you know, I'm one of the worst people to watch TV with because I can't stand the nonsense, okay? It's like stuff that comes in that's just so crazy and people actually believe that stuff, okay? in the country who the United States has no idea who they are. Okay, that alone should be pushing them to immigration reform. That idea alone, that there are all these people living in the shadows, and we have a terrorist problem, a possible terrorist problem. That alone should want them to have immigration reform. But here's the problem. I always think of immigration as a huge pie, a huge like pizza pie, okay? And I like plain, you like cheese. Somebody else wants broccoli, so everybody wants a different type. And what you want is dependent immigration on how it impacts your life, your community, your family. You don't care about how it impacts the other people, okay? And that is the problem. So everybody comes to the immigration picking out a piece that they want. So labor wants immigration reform. Okay, it wants immigration reform, but there are times when it doesn't want immigration reform. And when society is working well, the economy is going well, and we have full employment, they don't want illegal aliens in the United States because that's going to mess up everything. They don't want illegal aliens in the United States. When they need illegal aliens in the United States, so they need a workforce in place, then they don't, it's back and forth. And so we don't have a national uniform policy of immigration, and because everybody has a different will, okay? I find President Obama, as much as I love him, I find that the immigration issue is basically ineffectual, and he's playing every part of it. He's playing every game you can think of, okay? All right, first, he has family from Kenya, okay? He has family from Kenya. He wrote a book, and in the book he talked about his family. Nobody had any issue with the Kenyan government in the book. But all of a sudden, these people are in the United States and they're applying for asylum. They're applying for asylum. So that's all made up, okay? But he has not pushed hard enough to deal with issues, okay? He has what's called an executive order. He has what's called executive power. That is, we can't deal with the Congress, we don't have the votes, but there are a lot of things we can do. And of course they're going to threaten, we're going to impeach, which they're doing right now. So what? Let them do it. Did they not impeach Clinton? And now they say that Clinton was the greatest president of the last 50 years? Okay, so it's all politics, but you have to be committed to do what's important. And another thing about Obama is that he has put a lot of people in place in the immigration service, in the hierarchy of the immigration service. He knows absolutely nothing about immigration. So he knows nothing about immigration, and he's got all these people now who know nothing about immigration. So how is it going to happen that we're going to move forward? Okay? And we have to move forward because, as I said, it's stupid and it's unsafe. Okay? All right, so that said, what can people who are in the legal status today do to help themselves? Okay? There will likely, as I said, there is not going to be an immigration reform the way we're talking about before. What we need is not going to be here in the next few years because Republicans are going to pick up their part of the pie. And unless they come to the point where they figure out that it's in their interest to buy the whole pie, there's not going to be immigration reform. What a president can do, though, is make some executive orders, not even he can't go as far as immigration reform, just to mend some of the problems of the law that's totally broken. Okay? For example, there are lots of people in the United States right now whose children can apply for them, or who are married to United States citizens, and they can't get green cards. They can't get green cards, and they leave the United States to pick up the green cards in their respective countries. They won't be back for 10 years. Now, they won't be back for 10 years, and a lot of people got caught in that. So recently, there was a new policy to allow these people to lot of attorneys that are telling people you can in fact get a waiver. But they don't tell them, what they don't tell them is the waiver is solely for people who have never committed any other offense than maybe working unlawfully in the United States or overstaying their time in the United States or coming across the Mexican border. Okay? That's all it covers. So when you go out to pick up your visa, if you're inadmissible to the United States for any other reason, for example, fraud, or you have convictions, no matter how minor, say for example, you had 2 spliffs of marijuana in your pocket and you got convicted for that, you're outside the United States, you can't get a green card because you're only allowed, and I repeat, you're only allowed on drug cases, you're only allowed to be convicted for possession, not distribution, just possession of marijuana, not anything else, no cocaine, no crack, no heroin, just marijuana, and it has to be 30 grams or less. If you have anything over that, you are ineligible to adjust status in the United States. So if you go to an attorney and the attorney is talking about you're going to this waiver, the first thing is, if you've had any dealings with immigration in the past, get to your file. Get to your file. And you get your file under what is called the Freedom of Information Act. And the Freedom of Information Act allows you to request your Immigration and Naturalization Service. Now, actually, I call it Immigration and Naturalization Service, but it's now called USCIS. Okay? So you get your file and have an attorney review the file. At least you will know, okay? There are a lot of attorneys telling people, just go ahead, you'll get this waiver, and you get this waiver, you go forward. Okay, you have one waiver, but you might need another waiver. Okay, so nothing's that simple. You see people having been in the United States more than 10 years to get a green card. You may be able to get a green card, but again, it's not that simple. And that's, and that's what I believe. I believe that you tell people the truth. Okay, and oftentimes attorneys people don't tell you the truth because you don't want to hear the truth. Okay, because I've had people come to my office and I sit them down and I explain to them. And sometimes they're mad at me because I'm telling them I'm not going to take your money, I can't help you. I'll give you this, I'll give you that. It doesn't matter. Okay, so sometimes you folks really get yourselves into it because you want it so badly that you're asking for something that's legally impossible. Okay? So I have a number of recommendations for you as a community, all right? That one, when you're looking for an attorney, if you don't, it's good to take somebody's advice, but don't come to an attorney and say, my case is just like that other person's case. Okay? You have to, if you remember nothing else today, remember that every case is different, okay? One little fact would make a huge difference in a case. And I've had instances where people have, well, I couldn't get it, so you can't get it, okay? I had a situation where one woman came to me, I could not help her. But her friend came to me, and her friend had 3 different ways of getting a green card. Somehow she managed to convince her friend, because they had been involved in some scheme initially together, that the friend couldn't get it either. Okay? So every case is different. The reason why the friend could get it was because she has massive evidence in the United States. She was here for a long time. She had a heart condition. She had children. She had lost a child in her hospital, all this stuff. So the facts go up turns on facts. Okay? It's your obligation to get the facts to the attorney, and I mean all the facts. Don't lie to your attorney. Don't keep anything back from your attorney. And sometimes people come to my office and they're very embarrassed. I don't want to tell you. But the fact of the matter is, sometimes they'll tell the party they don't want to start digging, realize that it's a totally different situation. But I always say, pay for your consultation. Pay for your consultation. Because when somebody gives you a free consultation, they give you with most of the problems that I see in immigration. So you need to, so when somebody looks at what to talk, you've been sitting there for a half hour, you've been sitting there for 45 minutes, okay, you fully understand what your case is about, and you can stop running from one place to the other, trying to figure out what's going on with your case. I mean, there are people who are 10 different attorneys, 10 for your attorneys when they come into my office, they still don't know what your case is about. Okay, because nobody is taking the time to really explain it and say, okay, do you understand what are your questions? 10 minutes you're out, whether you understand or not. 10 minutes sometimes is not even enough to review the papers you bring in. That's when you bring in papers, when you go to see an attorney, an immigration attorney, make sure you bring your passports with you. Make sure you bring all the documentation you have with other attorneys. You cannot come to an immigration attorney and say, I forgot 1994. I forgot my father. You have to bring the documents or it's a waste of everybody's time. If anyone has a criminal record, you have to get your dispositions. This is a perfect time to get your birth certificate. A lot of you I know where Jamaica is. And Jamaica has a brand new birth certificate. The old paper one doesn't work anymore. They're already not accepted. You need to have your birth certificates. You need to have your documents. I mean, if somebody, right now, because of Obama, this is one of the positives, the negative, what happened was, it was determined that in 2010, more people were deported from the United States than ever in the history of the United States. And they were, in fact, and they had either cumulatively or any 1 year, or for any 1 year, more people than ever. And that was during the time Obama was in power. So, of course, the social groups that are involved came down on him. They were supposed to be the one to change. You understand, you might not be able to do the immigration reform because you don't have the votes, but you can dictate policy and you use your executive power to change certain things. So we came out with this policy that if you are in the United States and you don't have criminal record and you have family in the United States, you will not be deported from the United States. So this is since 2010, this has been a relative period of calm. The deportation rates have fallen and there is been a major enforcement just before that hit crazy, okay? And so they were moving everybody out of the United States. And sometimes in our community, we know that a lot of people get deported because they have criminal records. Now, a lot of Jamaicans got deported, okay? I'm making a fair amount or a relatively disproportionate amount of Jamaicans got deported when they started major enforcement. But what happened to Jamaicans, and I have to speak to you guys about this, is that it's not that we're more criminal than anybody else in the world, is that we have an attitude, okay? And the attitude is this: we come to the United States and we live here for the most critical years of our life, okay? And then we say, but I'm not becoming a citizen because I'm Jamaican and I'm not going to become a second-class citizen and I'm going back to my country. I'm building my house in Jamaica and that's where I'm going to go back. And the truth of the matter is, okay, and you all will forgive my honesty because that's the only way I know how to say it, okay? The truth of the matter is, most of you are going to go back to Boston and or to Jamaica, okay? But there's this whole thing going on. And so there are children, 5 months old, who came to the United States when they're 5 months old, and they went out in their 30s. Went to Jamaica, no family, lost, living on the streets, creating a larger social crisis in Jamaica than they need, or that they can handle, okay? So if you're eligible for citizenship, file for your citizenship, okay? Stop making up a story that is not real. It's a story, okay? It's a dream, okay? Stop it. In addition to that, if you have anyone has a criminal record or knows of anyone who has a criminal record, they need to be seeing an immigration attorney for a consultation, getting those criminal records and bringing them in. The law is such right now that a lot of those old things can be thrown out. So if you're ever picked up by immigration or you're ever in a position where you can apply for a benefit but you're barred because of a criminal conviction, that in fact can be cleared, can possibly be cleared up now. Okay? And if immigration reform ever comes around, we're not going to be eligible to get a criminal conviction for a felony or more than 3 misdemeanors. So you need to clean up what can be cleaned up now. And it's more sometimes people just go into criminal court and they plead guilty to all kinds of stuff. Some of them are so anxious to get out of the court, they don't even understand. One guy said to me this morning, I wasn't convicted of anything, but I paid a fine. Well, the likelihood is that you were convicted of something, and it turns out he was convicted, stood there in court next to the lawyer, and did not realize that he was being convicted. A lot of people also stand up in court beside the lawyer, and they're just so content on getting out. I mean, they don't even realize what kind of plea they're taking. They're taking a plea to possession of marijuana and possession of intent to distribute, and they don't even realize they think it's just possession. One lady, she ran me down, she said, it's fine, I didn't take a plea for intent to deliver. And I said, okay, go get your file. You got it, she was shocked. Okay, but those things can change your life dramatically. Okay, now she's fighting to get that thrown out years after the fact. It's not the easiest thing. Okay? So those are some things you need to be aware of. When you look for an attorney, as I say, look for an attorney who specializes in immigration. Everybody in the world does immigration. Okay? Because everybody can fill out a form, but it's not about filling out a form, okay? It's about, you're talking about as a matter of fact, I should say, that the federal courts have said that next to taxation, immigration is the most difficult area of law to understand. But you have people running around filling out forms and not understanding that there's a huge body of law, complicated law that supports the whole immigration process. And that's part of the thing that needs to be reformed also. It needs to be made more simple because it deals with ordinary people, okay? And they really should be able to file for adjustment of status in the United States if you haven't had major complications without an attorney. But they make it so complicated that it's, so that you do need an attorney for most law, okay? And sometimes you get away with the first part of it and you think, I got it made. But if you get a green card for marriage, there are 3 bases to it. Getting the initial 2-year green card, moving the conditions for the second time, and ultimately becoming a citizen. If you do something in the meantime that undermines any of this, you can end up applying for citizenship, paying your money, and finding out the day when you get there for your interview that you wasted your money, wasted your time, because guess what? They just found out that your green card isn't any good. Okay? So I always know for some reason Jamaicans have this propensity, I don't know what it is about us, but we have this propensity to, if there's A, B, C, and A is the right way, B is the right way, C is the right way, somehow we end up at D. Okay? You overlook whatever, and somehow we end up at D. Okay? And when you get caught up in that and it starts to bite you, okay, it can really disturb your world. So my things, my times there was, well, what do we do? Let's not tell them this. This is your, let's not tell them this. What do you do? My thing is, when you go to immigration, and especially if they know you're committed fraud or whatever, you try to minimize the fraud, but you have to they're trying to bring their spouse that they were not married to. Okay? Or they're trying to bring children that they never had. Okay? So we live, this America is an America where records are created. Okay? And it's not so easy to get people, it's not easy at all to get people to change records. I'm not saying it's not done. There are people who have passed the bar who never took the bar. Okay? It's still done in America. It's just done with a lesser degree, and you guys probably don't have enough money to pay for it. Okay? But it's done. The bottom line is, try to, tell the truth, you see competent counsel, and you come to me with your Lord. Okay? Don't play games. I had a guy the other day from Jamaica. He's married to a United States citizen. We're going out to the interview. I prepared him for the interview. Before we filed the application, I said to him, have you ever been arrested for anything? He'd been in the United States all of about a year. I said, have you ever been arrested for anything? No. So he came back, he came back, we prepared the interview, we went over everything. I said again, I'm running over everything, I'm going through the application with you. Have you ever been arrested? No. I did not go with him. One of my associate attorneys went with him. She said, she took it in her car out to Holsville in Long Island, and she said, while she was in the car driving, she's going over everything with them again to make sure that there's no problem. And she had said again, have you been arrested for anything? And he says, no. This is the third, fourth time. Okay? He goes into the hearing, and the officer is sitting there, and she said, and she's looking at something, and she says, have you ever been arrested? And he doesn't know what to say, apparently, and she says, I would suggest that you come clean. Okay? Alright, and the fact of the matter is, she doesn't know what it is either. Okay? She doesn't know what it is either, but she knows the computer, when they ran into the check with the FBI, picked up something, that something was to get some contact with the federal authorities. She doesn't know exactly what it is, she doesn't know how it ended. Okay? So now it's created a problem. And that day, he didn't get his green card, because now he has to go to Jamaica or get someone to get all his criminal records, which maybe turns out he'd been arrested twice. And maybe it's about nothing, okay? It might have been, you're arrested, especially in society, you get arrested every day for little or nothing. So tell the truth, let's get in this position. If we can dispose of it, we dispose of it. If we can't dispose of it, we figure out a way to deal with it. But when you